President Trump has reached his first 40 days in office, but what does that mean for your wallet? We've already seen the term making financial headlines, from tariffs and other taxes to the changes at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to Federal Reserve meetings and lack of interest rate cuts. Now, there's a lot to unpack just from these past 40 days and things to look ahead to for the next 4 years. That's why today we're bringing in the experts to unpack it all. Bankrate Senior Industry Analyst Ted Rossman is here joining us. Ted, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We want to start with the big one that's on everyone's mind. It was something we talked a lot about on the campaign trail, and that's tariffs. 25% set to go into effect for Mexico and Canada on the 4th, 10% already in effect for China. When would consumers start seeing the impact of this on their day-to-day finances?
It could be pretty much right away, because this is the kind of thing that, even though the tax is paid somewhere along the supply chain by a retailer or a supplier, they're going to pass that on to consumers. And in fact, we've already seen some people accelerating big purchases. If you're in the market for a washing machine or a car or a refrigerator or some other big ticket item, many people have been trying to get out ahead of these tariffs, accelerating those purchases. It's one of the biggest reasons why consumer confidence has fallen lately.
Well, something that I wanted to also talk to you about, my family are small business owners. We own a restaurant back in New York, and something that I think will be of interest to them is that Trump promised to eliminate federal income taxes on tips. Now, we haven't seen that yet, but what is the impact of that for businesses?
This seems likely to pass. It's probably going to be part of that budget reconciliation process, part of that larger agenda that's likely to pass soon. No taxes on tips, in my view, sounds better than it really is, mainly because people have been tipping less in recent years. Customers have been stressed by high inflation. They're worried about tip creep, which is tips kind of encroaching on areas of our life that we didn't used to be asked for a tip, and now we are. And there's all those pre-entered tip screens. And we've seen people tipping less at a variety of places in recent years. So that's one of the things I worry about, that even if your tips are not taxed anymore, if people are giving fewer tips, that's one of those changes that may sound better than it is.
So it could be good on paper. We know it did have bipartisan support, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Now, I do want to talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's the nation's largest protection agency for consumers, and the Trump administration effectively shut it down. So should buyers be worried about this?
The CFPB has really been a lightning rod since its inception about 15 years ago. And some say it's great, it's saved consumers billions, it's a watchdog on the financial industry. Others say that it's this kind of rogue bureaucracy with too much power and too little oversight. It does beg the question of, if the CFPB is not watching out for your money, who is? There could be a big void there. They received about 5 million consumer complaints over the past 5 years. They've often been good about getting responses within a couple of weeks. I mean, love or hate the regulation, it's true that they've at least been effective in getting responses. And, in the absence of the CFPB, because they're not expected to do much the next few years, you probably have to turn to more of a local regulator, like a state attorney general's office or state department of financial services or something like that. It could be a loss, though, for consumer protections.
Other agencies effectively picking up the slack. Well, Ted, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your insight on this.
No problem. Thank you.
Now, we covered a lot of ground in this interview. If you'd like to watch it back or see our continuing coverage on the topic, just head to our website. That's turnto10.com.